Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Eljay Johnsen Show. This show airs every weekend, every Sunday at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, unless specified otherwise over on Twitter at the Eljay Johnsen, where you can find updates and guest announcements every single Wednesday. And if you have any questions over the week, make sure you head on over to my email, gmail.com, which is ljjohnson@gmail.com. Remember, that's JOHNSEN. Whew, I made it. Okay, gosh, dang. My eyes feel like they're about to roll out of my sockets, but we managed to pull off the intro. I'm happy. And speaking of which, my next guest is someone you all may be familiar with. She's been on the show before. She is a massive fan of LEGO Ninjago, and as such is here to discuss just that. It is, of course, Hayley Wolfe. How you doing?
Hello, I'm doing good. How are you doing, LJ?
So
Besides the eye
tired.
part.
I'm so tired.
Oh, oh. Well,
Yeah, no,
I will
outside of
try
that.
not to bore you with Ninjago talk.
Too late.
Ah, darn. I tried, everyone.
But no, it'll be fine. Because that's the thing. I like Ninjago. I like Ninjago a lot. I think it's a really fun Lego theme. I think the sets are really good. And I think the show, a lot of the time, is very fun to watch.
Indeed.
So, okay, let's go ahead and get down to business. Go ahead and introduce yourself, how you got into Lego, the community, and, eventually Ninjago.
All right. Well, a brief recap since I've done this before on your show, I think twice now. I got into Lego because of Ninjago Saturday morning cartoons. It was just a weird Lego Ninja show at the time, and a certain episode kind of like stuck with me, and that's Child's Play from season 2. I don't know what about that episode did it, but ever since then I was just completely hooked on the show, and I've been with it ever since. In the theme of what we're talking about, it was the characters and how much they like changed and how much they worked together just was eye-opening, and I really enjoyed watching and seeing what they were going to do next in each episode, and I've been watching ever since. So yeah.
Okay. And now, how did that transition from enjoying the show and being a fan of the show and then becoming a part of the online community?
So the online community started, I would say, about college for me. I got on to Tumblr via my friend, and then shortly after I was on Twitter. Those were my two main places. I listened to Ninjago Cast from the TTV channel throughout college, and then from there I was more vocal on Twitter because I was nervous at first. Finally realized there was nothing to be scared of, and then became more vocal. After that, TTV sort of found me, and I've been part of their Ninjago Cast ever since, just talking about the show, talking with everyone via Discord, continually on Twitter, and just enjoying this community that I found online, since there's not really a Ninjago community IRL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. Excellent. On the subject of an in real life Ninjago community, you're right. Though outside of just general Lego, there usually aren't a whole lot of physical communities when it comes to Lego stuff. Specific themes, at the very least. Like, there's never been a physical Bionicle community outside of the gatherings at conventions, the largest of which being Brick Fair.
I was like, Brick Fair kind of proved that point
but
wrong.
That's
outside
annual.
of convention.
Yeah.
Outside of convention, I see your point.
Yeah, and even then, there isn't really a Ninjago counterpart to that. So
I still remember at Brick Fair, it was like, I'm so excited to see the Ninjago table. It was great. It was great. It was Ninjago City. And I don't think I ever saw more than 2 people standing around that table at a certain point. So, but there was still a Ninjago table, and I was really happy. I was really proud of it.
I don't think that I even saw it then. I'm pretty sure I didn't, because I was going all the time at Brick Fair. I didn't have an opportunity to look at any mocks. It was just a constant slew of doing
Yeah,
things.
you were running around a lot, so
Yeah. But
but yeah, it was really nice. So Ninjago fans are out there. We're just kind of like scattered.
yeah,
So
that's the main difference between Ninjago and what I consider to be its predecessor, which is something that Meso and I talked about just last week, which would be Bionicle. The main difference that I've found is that Bionicle has always generally had a central place to go. So originally it had BZ Power, and everyone went to BZ Power to get all the latest news, talk to Greg Farshtey, make comics, and it had its own kind of culture. But Ninjago has, I think the most centralized I've ever seen them is Twitter.
yeah, probably.
But we need Ninjago power.
Yeah. I mean, Ninjago exists everywhere, but when it comes to like how the creators communicate with the fans, it's pretty much just on Twitter with a little bit on YouTube.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Which is still excellent. It's still fantastic to see that fan
absolutely.
interaction.
Absolutely.
So, all right, let's go ahead and talk about something that you.
I mean, just look at the banner for this video. Character progression. And then who's the ninja? The character that hasn't progressed at all?
I swear to you. I swear it's not a trap. I'm not using my show for jokes.
All right.
So, because it is an interesting topic, because we have.
It is, yes.
We always have a variety of LEGO themes with characters that either have really good progression for its characters or don't have any at all. So Bionicle, in my opinion, had really good character progression. You could see a notable difference from Tahu in 2001 to Tahu in 2008. There was an actual noticeable change in demeanor, in how he acted, spoke, reacted, etc. And I think Ninjago has aspects of that.
Yeah.
So
For some characters.
Exactly. That's why I say aspects. So let's go ahead and kind of go over them. And, well, we'll start with, having already mentioned Tahu, let's start with Kai. Do you think Kai has progressed from his first appearance as the literal first ninja?
Absolutely.
Okay, what ways?
From the moment we met him in the blacksmith shop to where we've seen him latest, he definitely has changed. Now his quirks haven't changed. He's still a hothead, super stubborn, and stuff like that, because that's just his core personality. But his role to the team and how he treats his job has definitely changed over the seasons. Like when we met him in season 1, so the snakes, the return or the rise of the snakes, his obsession was to become the Green Ninja. He wanted to have the most power on the team. He was kind of eyeballing that, I want this, I want this, I want this. And then the next season onwards, he became a teacher, which is almost the complete opposite. And they only bring up his power hunger back in season 4 for a little bit, and then a little bit in season 5. It still exists, but his role in the team has changed. He's a completely different ninja than he was in season 1. And then after that, Kai hasn't really progressed past that, because he was the protagonist, the main protagonist, I would say, for the first half of the series. And then I think people kind of got bored of Kai, so they had to have Jay have some spotlight, do a little bit more on Lloyd, have Nia do some stuff, and so yeah, he has changed pretty drastically.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Yeah, I like Kai at his most confident. That's when he's most entertaining, because he gets overconfident. He gets very pompous, especially
Very
now.
stubborn.
Yeah, without spoiling the latest season, which is really good. For Ninjago, I quite like it.
Yeah, he's good in this.
Yeah, he's very pompous. He's very...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a very Kai thing for him. To be this kind of showboaty, Yeah, I'm the bee's knees. I got fire and I'm cool. What? Wait, no,
Mm-hmm.
I mean not cool as in temperature wise, because the fire. Anyway,
Yeah.
I do feel like somewhere along the way, Kai got a little, I don't know, lost as a
Yeah, he
character.
lost his. Well, what's so hard with having your six mains is they focused on him a lot in the beginning, and other characters like Zane and Nia and Cole and Jay kind of got pushed to the side, um, especially in season like 6 and 5 and 7, and then especially in the March of the Oni trilogy. Um, Kai got pushed to the side so that the others can kind of come forward and show off a little bit. So in doing so, he became sort of flat. And the moments that he did speak, he was back to the archetype Kai of being pompous and stubborn and hot-headed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's true with all the ninja. The ninja kind of like they go on autopilot when it's not their arc for
Mm-hmm.
like their archetype. Like Jay as the comedy guy, he'll
Mm-hmm.
make a joke. Zane as the robot, he'll be smart, stuff like that. But when it's time for them to have an arc, then a little bit of their personality comes out. They have some progression. They have a miniature store that they go through, and then they're back on autopilot. Because there's so many characters, they have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. It really is
yeah.
because during these portions of autopilot, which I agree, they do kind of just end up drifting.
Hmm.
They often, a lot of their dialogue I find ends up being very samey. It's very not uninspired. That's not the proper descriptor. It's
Hmm.
very, oh gosh, the word escapes me. But if I can't differentiate, like if I were looking at a piece of paper with the script of an episode and you took out
Hmm.
all of the names, most of their lines I should be able to figure out who is talking if their
Yeah.
character is strong enough. Now, obviously, that cannot be done all the time for every character. You're
Hmm.
just going to have some lines that just sound like anyone could ask them. And
Yeah.
that's fine.
Hmm.
That's going to happen, especially when you have such a large cast like Ninjago. But like if it's a quippy line, I can assume that it's probably Jay. If it's
Yeah.
something technical, I can assume it's probably Zane. If it's
Hmm.
something probably a little more reasonable, but also a little brash sometimes, I can assume maybe it's Nia. If it's something
Yeah.
very wise, I can assume it's Wu, and so
Hmm.
on and so forth.
Yeah. Someone who's commanding and very leader, then it's
Yeah.
going to be Lloyd.
Yeah,
Um,
leader, also
leader.
maybe a little hopeful. Lloyd always struck
Hmm.
me as kind of optimistic.
Yeah. And if he's not optimistic, that means something's horribly wrong. Um, Case in point, season 8, I think, Sons of Garmadon.
Okay.
But yeah, I think nowadays, or most currently, the two that you will mix up the most if you do strip the script, it's going to be Cole and Kai.
Yeah. No,
In fact, Cole, I think the whole series, if you strip the script for the whole series, he's interesting because he's funny at times, he's serious at times, he's kind of all over the place. So you can't really pick out which lines are Cole's unless he actually says his name. You can't really figure out who he is, which I think is really interesting, but also a flaw. So,
hmm. Yeah, I don't know. With Cole, I've never been able to pinpoint, and maybe this is a me thing. Maybe I'll just never be able to figure it out
mm-hmm.
because I just can't discern it or I'm not paying proper attention. But I still, to this day, and we'll go ahead and switch from Kai to Cole.
To Cole, all right.
I've never been able to discern exactly what Cole's character is. Like I
Okay.
know he's a good guy, he's a good person. He
I would hope
cares
he
for
is.
he
I would
yeah
hope he's a
he
ninja.
he cares for other people,
Mm-hmm.
and my problem is I can say that about the others.
Yeah.
It's not an original trait, and I just can't determine what his original trait is outside of food, which honestly has been toned down
That's
recently.
it has been toned down. I think the only time they mentioned cake in this like latest season was the second episode, and other than that, they have barely even touched food, for him at least. So, in fact, if there's any character progression for Cole at all, it's going to be food. And that's very sad to say, but there is like a weird progression based off of events and how he treats food that they don't really like expand on. So there are theories, but other than that, so Cole's character is really interesting because, like I said with the others, when they go on autopilot, they follow an archetype. You know, the hothead, the smart robot, the I guess hot-headed girl, because Nia.
Yeah,
very,
as soon as you started being unsure, it's like she's trying to figure out something for Nia, huh?
For Nia, yeah, like she definitely has an archetype. It's just like she's like her brother, but a girl. And then you got the comic relief and the leader, and then there's Cole. Which him not having an archetype, which I honestly think is the case, it makes him very real. More real than the other characters, because he can't really be defined by saying Cole is the smart one on the team, or he's the leader, or he's the one who's going to rush in and battle. But he's also not the one that's going to sit and think about it before he does it. He's just kind of there, and he does what he needs to do. But the important thing is what we've seen is that he puts others first a lot of the times. Whenever he has to make a decision, like a big decision for him at least, it's never him. It's never about him. It's never his decision. It's never really.
See, I know what you're saying, and we've had this conversation before in the past. Well, obviously it's in the past, LJ. Thanks. It was before. We've discussed this, and I'll say this in regards to Cole. Being there is, to me, a detriment. I think that he needs something a little more of to himself, of his own, to really define him as a character I can get invested in. You mentioned that he's awfully compassionate. He puts himself before he puts other people before himself. Complete opposite.
And it's honestly, the way he does it is almost it's sort of harmful because it hurts him in the process. Like when him and Jay were fighting against Chen, or they're fighting to escape Chen, and it was Jay versus Cole, and they get to the end of the battle, and Cole wins. He straight up wins. Like, he is holding on to the Jade Blade, but he gives it to Jay. And then he sacrifices himself because, number one, he knew he was in the wrong. And number two, well, actually, there is not even a number two. He knew he was completely in the wrong. And he, asked Jay to sort of forgive him by doing this and said, Nia is all yours. And then he was gone.
The reason I can't really sink my fangs into this is because all of the ninja display selfless tendencies. Like, I mean, the first major death of the series was Zane, who basically just exploded himself to save everyone else. So that's why I'm like, I will say that Cole seems to be the more outwardly compassionate to other things. And I was a little iffy on this when you brought this point up, specifically when it pertained to Hunted and Young Woo. But given some of the latest episodes of the show, okay, yeah, it's kind of coming through a little bit more.
He has this weird tendency to see the best in circumstances. With the baby, he, took the baby, in Sons of Garmadon, after almost walking away from it. Then he was like, okay, fine, I'm going to take the baby. Because I think he just liked the baby, so he just took it. And then in, let's see, with Day of the Departed is the big one. He was about to defeat Yang all for once. Then he hears Yang mutter one thing, and all of a sudden Cole completely like flips on him, and then he becomes super compassionate and helps him to try if they can both become human. We've got something in the newest season where it's almost the exact same thing. He sees the good in something even though others don't. And then the other one is way back in season 1 during the Royal Blacksmiths with his dad. He didn't want to go back to the village. He didn't even tell his friends about what was going on between him and his dad. But when he got back there and his dad kind of yelled in his face and literally slammed the door on him, Cole changes the game plan to do something for his dad, even though he didn't want to do it. And he did it like he Cole dancing in front of a crowd is like one of his biggest fears, I think, is easily to say in the show. He's talked about it quite a few times, but he did it for his dad to show him that he did still care. So he's done this a few times in the show where it's like he's like super compassionate. It's just not like expressed. Like it's not said, "Oh wow, Cole, I can't believe you did that," even though you really didn't want to do that.
Yeah, it is definitely more of a subtle character trait that I mean, obviously it is, because I didn't really determine that until now. So, and I like that. I like that it's not just he's the compassionate one, and they don't show him every time like holding a kitten and just like meow 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 meow. But so I do like that. I do appreciate that. At the same time, it's taken me a while to actually determine, well, what the heck is his character? What does he do?
Yeah, he doesn't really do much.
Yeah.
He doesn't progress because they've never given him a chance to as the writers. I think that's the biggest flaw with Cole, is that he's never been given the chance to change. Like the others have. Like Kai has had so many opportunities and he's done it so many times. I mean, you look at Lloyd. When we first met Lloyd, he was a tiny brat who wants to be like his dad, and now he's a grown-up ninja leader whose biggest fear is becoming his dad. And then there's, Cole, who has literally done nothing. So he became a ghost. That was one thing that did happen.
That's a thing.
That was a thing.
The
he
ghost
turned into a ghost for 2 seasons and a half.
The ghost thing really it perplexes me to this very moment, because I don't really know. I mean, it was a fun thing, I guess, to try out, but it didn't add anything that I can discern. I mean, he has new powers, but being a ghost isn't really a character trait.
Yeah, it's not a character trait. And I think, honestly, the only reason why they turned Cole into a ghost is because they didn't know what to do with him. So they had to give a ninja a special ability against the ghosts or against what was coming. And Cole didn't have anything. So they said, okay, just turn him into a ghost and he'll have something to do. And after that, in every single episode following, there was what I call like a ghost moment, where Cole has a moment where he forgets that he's a ghost, or he does like something that is a ghost ability. He does it like one time in each of the episodes. Like there is a moment where it's like they make it very clear that he is a ghost. Sort of with Zane after he found out he was a robot. In a certain moment per episode, I think it's a writing thing where they have to remind the audience that he's a robot. Whether it be like he pops his arm open, or he says something about it, or something. But it became like his identity, where they had to remind us that, hey, he's dead, and he can do stuff with his dead ability. So,
yeah, I feel like the robot aspect of Zane has been handled very well.
Yes,
I like it because it doesn't define the Zane character. It is just, and at the beginning it was an obstacle for Zane to overcome. And now it's a tool. It's a tool that Zane has at his disposal that gives him a uniqueness, I suppose. I think the ghost thing could have done that.
They dropped it for Skybound because he was a ghost all throughout Skybound, and his whole like do a ghost thing per episode drifted off. But he also kind of didn't say that he was a ghost. I'm sure some people will think back on it was visual. Some people could look back or think back and they probably wouldn't even remember that Cole was a ghost that season.
Yeah. Well, in all fairness, he wasn't around much that
He wasn't,
season
yeah,
either.
he wasn't.
So
He did have a couple of great moments in that season, though. I was telling my friend on the way back today that he has a comment that I still can't believe is in this show. They were making a raft, and Nia asks, "So why is it that they name all ships after women?" And Cole says, "I don't know. Maybe it takes a lot of paint to make them look good."
oh no.
And I remember hearing that, and I'm like, did he just say that? Am I watching Ninjago?
And at that
Did
point, Cole
Yeah.
was. Listen, this is gonna come back 10 years later to bite Cole.
I know. Well, the thing is, Lloyd laughed at it, then he went off to go collect more, whatever it was. And then Cole says, the real reason I think sailors name ships after women is because they name it after the most important people in their lives, wives, their sisters, their mothers, people who they want by their side when things get choppy. And I was like, okay, you can't do both. You can't say something like that and then immediately come back with like a beautiful comment on why sailors call ships women.
You can't, gosh dang it, show. You can't have a career-ending comment and then also redeem the character. Gosh darn no.
Yes, literally within 30 seconds. I was like, I hated Cole, and then I was like, oh my gosh, Cole, wow. But
No,
he has
go back,
a couple
go
of
back to
moments that are
hating
just
Cole. No, kidding.
yeah. Oh, okay, haha. But he has a few moments, which when I was rewatching Ninjago with Tyler, it's really interesting because Cole has moments that are just absolutely hilarious, that are completely forgotten. I can't even think of some right now because of how much they're forgettable.
I mean, were they
But when
really
you're
that
watching-
hilarious then? No, I'm kidding.
I mean, who knows? But it's funny because you rewatch it and Cole says something that's funny, and you're like, "Wow, I can't remember that he said, or I didn't remember that he said that," and then you forget about it again. So when you rewatch it, you're like, "Oh, I forgot Cole said something like that. That was pretty funny," and then it keeps going. So he has this weird thing where he's good for rewatches, if that makes sense.
I don't know if I'll agree to that because
probably not.
I
You rewatched it and
I rewatched most of Ninjago. I had to stop at Hands of Time. Not only have I gotten busy since, but I could not make it through Hands of Time. I got
that's like ripping off the Band-Aid. You just gotta watch it all at once. Just rip it off.
Yeah.
Once you get to like episode 6 and 7, then it kind of gets good. Wait, no.
I don't remember what happens in 6 and 7.
Maybe not 6. I think 6 was the attack, and that one's not very good.
I'll
Episode
finish
7
it.
was Cause and Effect, and that one's really good. But yeah, just got to rip off the Band-Aid. Because then after that, you've got the Oni trilogy, which is also sort of like a Band-Aid you have to rip off, but it's an enjoyable Band-Aid until the very end when the sting happens. So.
An enjoyable Band-Aid.
An enjoyable Band-Aid. I did the exact same thing Cole did in March of the Onion, where you compare something to an old Band-Aid you got to rip off. Dang it.
Uh-huh.
Get that reference? Anyone get that reference?
No, it's been a while.
It's been
yeah.
Like I said, remember that comment that Cole said in March of the Onion when he compared Jay and Nia's relationship to a Band-Aid?
Gosh, he doesn't want people to like him. How does he have such a large following? He's like one of the most popular ninja in the community. Somehow.
Well, really?
Okay, from what I've seen,
Is he?
most of the folks I've talked to, when it comes to liking Ninjago, seem to like Cole the most.
The first time that I talked to you and I said that Cole was my favorite ninja, you're like, how?
I mean, yeah, because I don't think he's very enjoyable. Oh. Not because I don't think he's popular. Mm-hmm. But fair enough.
Yeah, I don't know. He's just fun to watch at times. And I enjoy his contributions whenever he makes them, because he never really does anything wrong except for that one time in season 3 that we're not going to talk about. But
season 3,
so.
One time in season 3.
Rebooted. Let's not talk about that.
All right, I'm gonna have to listen to that. I'm gonna have to ask later because I don't remember.
Rebooted with Cole.
Oh, the triangle thing. Yeah, okay, there we go. Yeah, okay, I see. Yeah, we're trying to remember that we're trying to forget that. Fair enough.
Yeah, well, everyone's trying to forget that. Even the writers are trying to forget that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so as far as Cole and character progression, I definitely don't think he's progressed very much, which is
No.
a shame.
In fact, I don't think he has at all. Like I said, the
Yeah.
only thing that he's progressed in is food because he like started cooking it and he was bad. Then he started liking cake. And then he became like obsessed with food in season 4, which was after Zane's death. And that then it kind of faded away. And then he gave up food or he gave up cake in season 8 only to come back to it after Hunted. So it's like he kind of has a weird like curve going on for that,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think it's good that his character is only connected to cake, which is kind of a meme in the Ninjago community where it's like we've got Jay and Nia and Pixel and Zane and Skylar and Kai and Cole and Cake.
Yeah. Again, it's one of those things where I found characters that really liked food being a central part
Mm-hmm.
of their gimmick
Yeah.
to be really funny when I was younger. It was a big thing on BZ Power in the comics community. You would have
Mm-hmm.
food obsessed characters all the time. I had a slew of them. In a great twist,
Mm-hmm.
one of mine was a character obsessed with bananas.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Bananas.
A lot of psychological details going on there. Um, but yeah. So I mean, you have something which I don't necessarily think I'm opposed to. The unfortunate thing is it replaces what would otherwise be potentially another aspect of his character, as opposed to just. I don't know if this is really the right word, but gimmick.
Yeah, or a quirk.
Yeah, quirk might be it.
Yeah. When on a show like for most other kid shows, it's okay. Like for Nexo Knights, the really Axel, I think is his name. I
Yes,
can't remember his
Axel.
name. I think he was big into food, and that's okay because that was the style of the show. It was sort of episodic, and so he has a food gimmick. But with Ninjago, it just feels like there could be something more or could
Yeah.
be something else instead of just giving Cole a hey, he's gonna like food because he's the big strong one, so he likes food. It
The
feels kind of lazy.
I feel like the difference between Axel and Cole is that Axel and his obsession and love of food was his character. It's not
Yeah.
that it was a part of his character, it was his character. Now I say that in a vacuum, not having finished Nexo Knights.
Yeah.
So
I haven't finished it either, so
maybe at some point down the line in the show, he reveals, I like to build parties, so I need to eat lots of food. Or maybe he even said that and I just forgot.
yeah.
So the reason why I have an issue with the food stuff with Cole is where Axel has food and his love of food being his primary character attribute.
Yeah.
Cole's love of food feels to me tacked on.
Yeah. It's like they said, they don't know what to do with Cole.
Yeah.
They really don't, which is kind of sad. Whenever they do something with Cole, like they did like most recently, it's kind of cool. You know, it's a different he is different and we kind of see how he's different, but we don't get enough of it. So yeah, that's my biggest I guess prayer for upcoming Ninjago content is to take Cole and do something. I don't care if it strips his whole character. I don't care if it like completely ruins him. Just do something.
Now I mean
Have him say progressed. He has progressed.
I don't want to ruin him.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin him either. That's like, I don't want anything bad to happen to Cole because he's my favorite. But just do something.
And what I believe is the fairness of exchange, which would be if I'm going to critique something, I should exchange my critique with. Sorry. If I'm going to criticize something, I should exchange that criticism for critique. So I should offer if I'm seeing a problem, I feel like it's in my best interest to recommend a solution to it or try and help figure out what I would like to see solve it. So that being the case, how would we recommend Cole progress as a character?
Well, the one thing that Cole has has shown in repeat throughout the series is how he helps others. And so, in order for them to do something with him that's interesting, that changes the ballpark, is to force him to do something for himself and just himself. Uh, I think I compared it once to like Winter Soldier, where it feels like everything that happened to Captain America, he felt like the rug was pulled under him, felt like he couldn't believe in anything anymore, and he felt like he was alone. Something like that with Cole, where he doesn't have the team around him, he has to fend for himself. Uh, and then maybe we can see more of who Cole really is, because we haven't really seen it, because he's been depending on all the other ninja. If we get something where it's just him, then maybe we can do something, or maybe they can work with that. I'm not sure how they're going to do it. I'm thinking kind of like Skybound, because the same thing happened with Jay. He lost his entire team and had to fend for himself. But he had, with his character progression, he had something that for him to work for. We currently don't have that for Cole, so maybe if they do that, it will give something for him to look to and become and progress and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. All right. So basically, put him in a position where he has to be
Yes.
selfish, and then
Yes.
have him face the repercussions of that choice.
Mm-hmm. Give him basically they need to give him a circumstance, right? He's never
Okay.
been given a proper circumstance for him to grow.
Mm-hmm.
In a series or a season-long arc, he's been given like little snippets for him to do stuff, like him escaping with Zane and him deciding that they have to go back to save the others, or him escaping the jail and he has to get the baby. He's had little miniature moments, but then he needs like a season. Basically, all I'm saying is, can you give Cole a season? Not a special. Not March of the Oni, which they pretended was Cole's, but he just fell and that was it. Like he needs a season. He needs like a Skybound, but for Cole.
Mm-hmm.
So, because Skybound did wonders for Jay. It did wonders for Nia. It was a brilliant season.
Yeah.
Cole needs that.
Okay.
Please, with a grin.
Well, I think that's a good place to end it for Cole.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll agree. I think that's a really good suggestion. But again, I say that not knowing what's in store and also not being a writer. But so I'll say from my perspective, I enjoyed that idea.
Yeah.
And I think that's also a good place to move on to Jay and Nia. We'll kind of lump them in together because Skybound was pretty revolutionary for them. I still think it is one of, if not the best season thus far. It's hard for me to beat it.
So good. It's so good.
Really like it.
People just forget how good it is because they remember how bad the finale, or how bad of a taste it left in some people's mouth for the finale. But the season is just so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just because Jay and Nia remember it makes it important, because they're the ones that had the character progression. All the other ninja didn't have anything happen.
Yeah, they were a tad more static. I
They
feel
were
like
on autopilot.
To a degree, it set up Kai and his. It kind of set up the whole parents aspect for Kai. Just a smidge, but it didn't do much for his character. It just put.
Wait, Skybound did?
Yeah, because of Natakan taking him back to the old village.
Oh, yes. Yeah. It did have a little hint. I forgot about that.
So it planted the seeds, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But
Lloyd didn't really have much to do. On his point, Lloyd didn't have much to do. Zane didn't have much to do. Zane was gobbled up pretty fast. Lloyd was leader with the capital L, and then Cole was also just there. He had his couple of moments as Jay's best friend, to console with when Jay was kind of freaking out. But other than that, Jay and Nia got attention that they so needed. I mean, Nia just came off of Possession, which was a really good season for her as well, with her becoming a ninja and growing out of her Samurai X.
Yeah,
I won't get into, but
I definitely think between the two, Jay got the majority of the necessary character development progression, because he went from being just the quippy guy to actually having some pretty substantial introspection and commentary and thought process and trying to figure out what to do. He got a lot more serious and grounded.
Oh yes.
But
My Dinner with Nauticon is probably one of Jay's best episodes in the entire series.
Yeah. I really like it when a series or a show or any kind of media takes a character and backs them into a corner, because that's when you really find out what kind of a character they are. And in this instance, I don't think any of the other ninja have been backed into a corner quite like Jay has.
Oh no.
Thus far.
No. Heck no.
And
it's one of those things where you think, why didn't Jay just give up? Because Lloyd and Cole did. I mean, Kai did. Well, Zane did. They all wished themselves away, but
Cole and Lloyd were... I don't think they actually wished themselves away, did they? Wasn't that...
They couldn't because they...
used up all their wishes.
They used up all their wishes, but they
were wished into it, weren't they, by Clancy?
They were wished into it. I think they were surrounded, or Lloyd had one more wish. He could have done it. He could have also done something to save all four of them, but he wished for a sword to save just Jay and Nia, because he saw beyond the now, and he knew that Jay and Nia were going to save them. But in doing so, he sacrificed both him and Cole to stay behind.
Yeah.
So they could have jumped off and maybe formed a dragon, or jumped on the dragon with
Probably
them.
Not. I don't know about the dragon, especially with Lloyd getting so old, and Cole probably not having a whole lot of practice with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he has practice. He just probably doesn't want to jump off of a cloud heading toward the ocean when he was a ghost.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. He was... See, there we go. He was a ghost.
See,
I totally forgot.
He was a ghost. Case in point. Proved.
Yeah.
Wow. But,
so really...
Jay
yes.
was the only one to not give up. The only ninja to not give up. And he was being tortured. Like, they didn't... I feel like the episode, the more it goes on, the worse and worse it was for Jay. He had to do all the chores. Then he had like the mental talk with the food, with Nauticon telling him his evil plan, trying to ruin his spirits. And then he started literally being beat up by the game Scrap and Tap. And then the crew like tricked him to think that they were going to like support him, only to like, show that, Jay was going to try to escape. And then they would beat him up again. And he still didn't give up. And the only reason he didn't do it was for Nia. Which I think is beautiful, honestly. Number one. And it shows how much of a spirit he has. He won't give up for that of which he loves.
Until the
very end.
It's pretty clear that Jay has an inexhaustible amount of tenacity and drive, and it was really good to see that focused, because Jay has given up before. He'll say, all right, well, it's hopeless, time to just go ahead and just throw in the towel, and we'll see him kind of do that. But it's nice to see it when the chips are down. He'll actually he'll put his head down and move forward and actually struggle.
He'll do it for Nia.
Yeah.
And another interesting point was back in Operation Land Ho, when all the ninja were taken, his main goal for that mission was to get Nia. His team was like on the sidelines. He wasn't even going after his team. He eventually got it because Nia helped him get the sword. But his goal was to get Nia before he was to get the others. Which I thought was also really cool. Like, his drive, if it's not for Nia, he kind of has like a lazier attitude towards it. But if it's for Nia, like, he is head Johnny down. He is going. Oh yeah, he is going after whoever. Like, if anyone touches her.
Yeah, so. He gets very serious, and it's good to see that, because it doesn't change his character. It just further defines it, because it puts him in a situation where he has to be at his best. But you still see, like, throughout the season, like those final few episodes of Skybound, he's serious. But it's still him. Like, I don't know, like, it's still essentially Jay. He's still kind of quippy. He's still not juvenile, jovial, I guess. Maybe that's not even the right word. I'm not sure
He's
what
got
the
a little
proper descriptor is.
lighthearted behind his sadness.
Yeah, maybe a little
Like what is it?
exasperated.
What was it that his dad said? When he was telling them about his journey and how it was him and him alone to save the world and everything. And his dad's like, "What are you? You're making jokes and all that stuff, and the world's falling apart, and you're drinking soup or whatnot." Um, like he needed to man up and go do it.
Hmm.
Um, Nadakon also said that he hides his fear behind his jokes, behind his laughter. Which I mean, you look back at all the times that they're scared, and he's off, saying, "Oh my God, this is it. This is the end of the world. We're all gonna die, and this is all. There's nothing we can do about it." Like what Nadakon said is, Jay is terrified during all those moments, and he's just laughing it off. So it's nice to hear that, or to hear the show even say that, because most shows won't even do that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, and I think it did wonders for him because it
mm-hmm.
gave him something to really call his own, to really I can't say good things enough about it. I just like it. I just think it's really good.
He's deeper now.
Yeah.
He's got more than just
More depth.
the
Yeah, there we go.
character. Yeah. So
Yeah.
and then there's Nia, who her progression was more self-aware. We didn't really know what was up with her in the beginning because she just was mad at Jay for some reason, which I think was the biggest my biggest flaw for the beginning, because she was just mad at him even though they were happily dating, sort of, for the first few seasons. They were happy after, uh, season 4, I think, with the whole Cole Jay thing. But what we find out later is she's just tired of having her identity be defined by others, which I
Mm-hmm.
thought was a very strong message, especially coming from Nia, how she was always Kai's brother or Jay's girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so she tried to make her identity. She tried to be Samurai X, except Master Wu said, no, you have to be a ninja. And so she just felt like she was tied. Like she couldn't do anything. She had to be what other people said that she could be, which
Mm-hmm.
I honestly find profound and powerful,
Yeah. No.
especially coming as the girl character. She didn't want to be the girl ninja. She wanted to be Nia. Um,
Well,
so
and then the Lego Ninjago movie
yeah, like an
happened, and it
entire
just got
yep.
chucked.
Yeah, girl ninja is gonna be hard. Or Harumi, or the girl.
Yeah.
So it's nice hearing that come from Nia, knowing that she knows that it's happening. It felt very self aware.
Yeah, it was. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it was some good introspection, especially for her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, from this point on, see, Nia has always had a really good spot as a character because she always kind of stood out and on her own. Like, even when she wasn't a ninja, she was
Mm-hmm.
still active, she was contributing, she was being a part of the dynamic, and it was good. It was very good. She had a really solid place. Then she became a ninja. Possession happened. She had this decent character arc. Skybound happened. She had a really excellent focus. She never really wavered throughout the entire thing.
Mm-hmm. And
And
then,
and now she's
well,
still
and then
not.
Hands of Time, when she was like, "Oh, I wish I could still be Samurai X." Let's not talk about that.
Yeah,
That was deep progression, or whatever the opposite of progression is.
regression.
Regression. That's the word.
And
Deep
and
progression.
honestly, now she's not. I wouldn't call her a bad character now.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, nothing about her to me really stands out.
Yeah, she's back on autopilot for her character, which is being the a very forward, loud, and she's like a hothead. She's very similar to Kai when it comes to like her stubbornness and stuff like that. Like she's very loud. She's very out there. If she has an opinion, it's heard. Like all the gold in the castle, she wants to make sure the ninja hear. Yeah, this is crazy. This is too much. Um, but there are moments where we kind of see where her flaw comes in a little bit, which we find out in season 5 that her hubris or whatever it is feeling weak. If she feels weak, then she ain't happy, or she is going to fix it, or she's going to give up.
Which season is season 5?
Possession.
Okay, no. I think it's maybe you're right. I remember it being her flaw, her fatal weakness is that she's good at basically everything.
Mm-hmm.
And
so when she's not good at something, or when she feels weak and she can't do it, then she'll give up.
When she feels incapable, she just kind of she throws in the towel.
Yeah, which we kind of see in the most recent season, which I won't go into detail. But that's why she's acting the way she is because that it goes along with her getting her powers for water. When she couldn't do it, she just gave up.
I guess we do see that in the recent season, yeah.
So.
Okay, and that's a good thing. That is a real good aspect. I mean, that's consistency.
It's consistent, yeah. People make fun of her where it's like Nia's like, I can't do it. Oh wait, I can do it. It's like that's her.
Mm-hmm.
If she ever has a moment where she can't do anything, and she gives up, then you know that she's going to eventually be able to do it, because that's just Nia's little miniature arc that she kind of goes through.
Mm-hmm. So. That's good. So they do give her. They've given her some focus, which is really good. It's really good for her. She is a really good character. But yeah, right now she's in the background. She's not doing a whole lot. Yeah.
We'll see, Nia. It's okay.
Yeah. I think her best.
Her best.
Her best quote from the season was in a flashback, so I don't even think it was her quote. It was just really funny. I don't want to say it because it's better in context. It's
I know what I know you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So. Oh my goodness.
I think her worst progression or regression was the big mistake in season 3, when they turned her into just a love interest.
For the
love triangle.
Oh yeah. Gosh dang it. Every time I think, no, it's gone, the love triangle. It never happened, and then I'm reminded.
It never happened. It happened, but that little bit, it turned her into just a love interest, and that love triangle was a big mistake. Except it gave Cole a really good moment here at the end. But other than that, it was just a big mistake.
Yeah, I think that was Nia at her most shallow. So
yeah, absolutely. But even on autopilot, she was better than her rebooted love triangle thing. So. Yeah.
Okay. We have 2 more ninja to discuss, and then we also have questions, so we're going to have to try and get through them a little quickly.
Okay, that's good, because Zane doesn't really have much, and Lloyd is just brilliant.
Well, no, Zane actually has arguably the most.
And really? That's why when it comes to progression?
Yeah. Well, maybe not progression as much as...
He's the most interesting.
He has the most introspection, I suppose. Yeah. And that Zane is such a fascinating character. So gosh dang fascinating.
He was the maturity the show needed. Or he's the maturity of the show, I would say. Or like the creativity, the mature words, the mature creativity of the show.
Yeah. He's got this very unique presence. And I don't necessarily know if it's because he's a robot or not. He's always had kind of a unique presence to him, where he is this very calm, but still kind of young character. So he still had moments of being brash, or being a little ahead of himself, or even being just a little unusual, and that was fine. And thankfully that they didn't get rid of it when he became a robot.
Yes.
It was just given an explanation, and then the characters around him were like, "All right, that's fine.
That's cool.
And that's Zane. That's great." So I think that his position in the show is the most solid. He's constantly the most interesting. He's consistently the most interesting, and he's had some of the best moments of the show. This season, he's had a really good moment. Obviously rebooted, which I still think is one of the best seasons, and easily one of the best finales.
Oh yeah, that finale, you can't really beat that finale.
It was just excellent. I even remember when Meso and I did the original coverage for the finale. I think I started it off by clapping. I was so impressed.
Yes. I was in shock. I was absolutely in shock. They actually did it.
Yeah.
Now it didn't last more than like 5 minutes, but the fact that they did it and they showed the explosion and it was just the music and the oh my gosh, it's
I like it
whew,
because I mean
look at you.
the reason I would dislike it is because obviously he's a robot. He's the safe choice. So if they
Oh
kill
yeah.
him, it's like, well, he's just a robot. He'll come back,
Hmm.
right? Verdict's out.
Halfly wrong. Yeah. Well, of course he came back, but the important thing is that his death did create volume on the ninja. Like they did react to it.
It it
Um,
changed the status quo, if only for a time. It
mhm.
gave the audience uncertainty because he
Yeah.
was at least to a degree gone. It
Hmm.
shattered the ninja team,
Oh, absolutely.
forcing the dynamic to change, which there weren't
Hmm.
lasting effects. I wish there were, but it
Yeah.
made things happen.
Hmm.
And it has permanently altered Zane from a physical standpoint. Like
Yes.
he's never necessarily looked the same either because they went
Which
from
I'm
his
glad. I am
yeah.
so even like his human form is different enough that it isn't the same guy. So at least that it's we're still reminded whenever we see him as titanium that he is newer. He did do something back then. Like it's a little bit of a reminder in the back of our head that Zane did sacrifice himself.
Yeah. And I'm glad that because of the visual change, there's not this constant reminder, hey, by the way, he's a robot. Do you know
Mm-hmm.
he's a robot?
Yep. They don't have that daily or that episodic thing where it's like, hey, he's a robot. He can do robot things like they did with Cole when he was a ghost. With him, you see him, he has a robotic little tone to it, but there could be an episode where they don't even mention that he's a robot or that he doesn't even do anything that's robotic. So, which I think is really cool that they're happy enough that they can do it
Mm-hmm.
because that's a trait for kids shows where like if something happens, they have to remind you in every episode. This character can do this. But
Mm-hmm.
the thing with Zane I think is funny, and we make fun of it almost every season, is that he something happens to him that either his voice is broken or he dies or
Yeah,
he gets heavily injured.
he's the punching bag. I mean, even
He's
this
the
season,
punching bag,
something
yeah.
has happened to him. We don't even know what,
Mm-hmm.
but something.
We do something, yeah. Oh
Yeah.
man.
Now,
But it's funny that it's him, always him, but that's just he's the safe one. So
yeah, and I mean that is the thing though. He is the safe one, and
mhm.
I worry that they're gonna kind of go that direction with him being just the one that they can use to pull heartstrings or use for emotional leverage.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was even one of the recent episodes where they had a really great moment for him that could be really excellent at the end of the season in hindsight being like, oh yeah, no, that was really good. Or
Yeah.
depending on how the season ends, it could be one of the most egregious
Yeah.
abuses
Mm-hmm.
of Zane being a sacrificial character.
Yeah. Agreed.
So
So
we gotta wait and see.
mm-hmm.
But go ahead, please.
He does have a few a few moments throughout the series where he has sort of an almost deep introspection of him. Uh like when he first discovered that he was a robot, he didn't really talk until he found out like he remembered his memories and whatnot. Um and I think the big thing with Zane is what we saw in the mirror in the recent series, which is
Of losing
his
his
fear
humanity.
of losing his humanity or just being a robot. Which is cool because you look back at other moments in the series where he finds out he's a robot, or right after he was rebuilt he didn't know who he was. Like he was arguing with his head in his head, is he Zane, is he titanium Zane, like what is he? um and he, like, when he sacrificed himself with the Overlord. He sacrificed himself on a human moral. He even said it to the Overlord before he did it. He was doing this. It's not about numbers. It's about family.
Mm-hmm.
So his humanity being like a part of it is like really, 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 really interesting. That here's a robot. He's just a robot. There's nothing in the show has introduced that would prove that he has a soul, that he's a human, blah blah blah. But he has humanity in him, which I think is just so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, sure, he has elemental powers, which we kind of got an answer for. Like, we.
No, you cut out there for a moment. What was that?
Oh, that he has elemental powers, and which is really interesting. We kind of got an answer to that, like we sort of did, but yeah, the fact that he is a robot, but like you said, is also can be brash at times, can be very human. That's what's really interesting with Zane, I would say.
Okay. So. Yeah. No, I'll agree. So I really like him as a character, and I think that even if he hasn't necessarily changed, I think that the introspection has always helped make him an interesting character. Maybe he hasn't changed, but that's not always what needs to happen. He has learned about himself, and I think that's a really excellent dissection for him.
So fingers crossed we will get more of that very soon. So yeah.
Okay.
And now Lloyd.
I think he's the last one, yes?
Yes, he's the last one.
Okay. And we'll probably I'll have to have you back on to talk about the other characters, because we're only able to focus on the ninja today. We're not even going to need...
We've got some great villains who have the same thing.
Yeah.
And also not the same thing.
We're not going to be able to spend a whole lot of time that Lloyd deserves to kind of explore his character. Oh, maybe it's a commentary. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with Lloyd is we got to remember, like, you go back to season 1 and you see that little kid coming out, like, going, I'm Lloyd Garmadon. Give me all your candy. And honestly, that's all you need to, like, say about Lloyd's progression. I mean, you can keep going on, but he's come that far. Oh my gosh, it's just...
Lloyd is the poster boy for character progression in Ninjago, because he has progressed easily the most.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's changed so much, even from like the Oni trilogy. Like he's had stuff happen to him in just those few seasons that have changed him. What we kind of see in the newest season, but also back with Harumi, and then before that, him becoming a leader without Wu, and then before that, him, can't be there for his team for possession, and it's okay that he isn't there for his team, that he finds in the end, and then before that, him becoming a ninja, training to become a leader, and having to face his dad even though he doesn't want to. So it's just so much, and it's such a good job, and the only thing that hinders the progression, I think, is the voice.
Yes, I'll agree, and this is nothing against the voice actress who did.
Oh no, Jillian was amazing. Yeah, I love Jillian so much.
Of course,
she just got stuck in a bad situation.
She did an admirable job. I think she did a really excellent job trying to carry the characters as long as she could. At the same time, for the sake of the show, I absolutely think they should have made the switch when he got aged up. Yeah. That's when I think it should have happened. Because his new voice is far more, I want to stress, not better, but fitting. It is more fitting for the character. And so I think that at that point it makes it more advantageous.
I completely agree. Having Sam being there from season 2 would have been really nice. It would have made... I think I will never forget with Possession when Lloyd was being voiced by Morrow for most of the season, and then there's that one scene when they're sliding down the hill where Lloyd takes control back and it goes from the deep gravelly Mora voice to take the sword, look, Kai, take the sword.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is so funny, and it just completely ruins the scene. it just
It's so jarring.
it's so jarring, and I that's one of those moments in Ninjago where I can watch it so many times, but I will always laugh at it.
Yeah.
So it's highly needed that we got Lloyd's updated voice, but it having it back then would have been more of a shocking growth spurt for Lloyd. So yeah, I completely agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All in all, I'm very happy with how the show has treated Lloyd, except for in one instance, which is where I'm not confident that the way they handled his transition from new edition to leader was.
He just kind of was given the role,
Yeah,
and he excelled immediately.
I don't necessarily believe it was earned. It was given. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure how comfortable I feel with that, because some things have said that Cole is the leader of the team, which
He was originally.
listen. I've heard it. I don't recall it ever being a part of the show, but it's also
Yeah,
been
it
a long
was-
time since I've seen the pilots. So
It's kind of inferred in the pilots, like if you knew if you knew the Lego like Lego.com said that Cole was the leader, and you watched the pilots, and you'd be like, yeah, he's the leader. I can definitely tell. If you don't read that and you watch it, then you're like, yeah, Kai's the leader. I can definitely tell. Like it's weird. Cole had that like atmosphere of being the leader. Like the other two didn't feel like they were strong enough to be the leader, but Cole was. And then Kai comes along and he has like the same amount of strength as Cole does when it comes to like leadership. So it's kind of blurry. In the first few episodes of season 1, Cole is sort of the leader in the same way. Um, he kind of is the one that breaks up the fights, that gets the ninja to do something, whatnot. And then Lloyd comes along and he just completely messes with the entire dynamic. And he becomes a leader, and then he starts having angst about becoming the leader, like in season 5 and 7, when even though he became the leader in season 2. So
I feel
yeah.
like I would have liked to have seen a little more of the pressure kind of eat away at Lloyd, and we see him buckle a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, we did, but I would have liked to have seen.
More.
I would have liked it to have affected the show a little bit more overall.
Like
So.
Lloyd goes kind of a little crazy with all the. I mean, the moment that really gets to me with Lloyd being a leader is that moment in season 8, True Potential, where he locks the team up in the little room and he goes after Garmadon himself because he thinks that's the right thing to do. That kind of is like Lloyd buckling under all the weight of being the leader and being the one who thinks he's right and whatnot, even though it was wrong. He needed his team, etc., etc. So I thought that was a really good scene for Lloyd, especially. So
Yeah. All in all, when it comes to Lloyd, it's the kind of thing. Lloyd exemplifies the fact that it exemplifies my desire for a legacy show. I want to see these characters grow up fully. I want to see what their differences would be. I want to see what they're like. I want to see them continue into. Because I don't know if they're in their prime now. I'd like to see them just the most skilled, expert ninja they could possibly be. And then see them put in a position where they're not just training Lloyd to carry on their torch. They're training the next generation ninja. Now, I'm not saying make such a drastic, risky switch right now, of course. Because I'm perfectly fine with these characters. I'm just saying that Lloyd is a good example of, honestly, if he were given more time, if Ninjago hadn't have ended, or hadn't have been in that threat of ending,
right. Yeah.
I think it would have been really interesting to see that natural progression, because I'm sure that's where they were going.
That's right, because Ninjago ended in season 2, so they basically gave him the mantle of leader. The show ended, and that was it. And then when they came back, they're like, "Oh yeah, Lloyd's the leader. Shouldn't he feel weird about being the leader because he didn't have a choice, really?" Yeah. Oh yeah. It's season 7. We should bring that up. So yeah. I guess that does make sense for his arc.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that would also have been a really nice place for a recasting of Lloyd's voice.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah,
So.
it's something that I mean, I'm very happy with where Lloyd is right now. I'm
Mm-hmm.
content. He's definitely falling into that leadership role, though I feel like he'll never fully inherit it so long as Wu is around. Because
Mm-hmm.
it's clear he's still young, and Wu is still technically their de facto head of the group.
Mm-hmm.
But Lloyd is more like a mission leader. He's not really a
When he's out in
standalone
the field, he's
leader.
the squad leader.
Yeah, like he doesn't go out like that. He still refers to Wu in some instances. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he'll always go. He will continuously go to Wu and sometimes his mom for advice, but out in the field, he'll make all the calls. So
mhm. So
yeah.
yeah, no,
So yeah.
I think that he is easily the face of character progression because you can see such a staunch difference between how he was and how he is, and
Yes.
you can tell they're similar characters. There's an inkling of the old Lloyd and current Lloyd,
Mm-hmm.
but you can
You
tell
can
he's
see the.
actually he's grown up, he's progressed.
Oh yeah. Every once in a while, I just want them to have Lloyd licking a lollipop or something, just to remind that the young kid is still in there. Because the other thing that's really interesting with Lloyd is he lost his whole childhood.
He did.
Like he never really did grow up. He was forced to grow up instead of like naturally grow up, which they never really touched
Well,
on.
they did. They
Um,
did. Well, okay, so they didn't touch upon it after the growing up part, and I don't really think they've had an opportunity for it. But they did
mm-hmm.
kind of touch upon it in an episode. I think the episode when he grew up, when he aged, because he was saying, I'm still a kid, but I'm kind of not really able to,
Oh,
like when he was going for that comic book.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
they,
that's when he was still a kid.
yeah, yeah,
So the episode it was like focusing on like maybe Lloyd isn't like he's being forced to not be a kid and he wants to be a kid, and then the end of the episode he just wasn't a kid anymore.
yeah. I
So
would
they're,
like to see that touched upon for him.
it's like backwards morals. It's like you think the lesson of that is like, yeah, let Lloyd be a kid for a little longer. Except at the end of
Nope.
the episode, they're like, nope, we're giving you long legs now. There you go, you're a big
You're
boy
getting
now.
a normal minifigure, and you're gonna be
Yeah.
happy about it.
Yeah, forget your childhood. Your child is important, but not for you. Time to face your dad.
Yeah. So, and
Yeah.
I absolutely think that it was in a prime position to be handled how we would expect it to be, where he did kind of grow up and age, possibly even age with the audience. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, the threat of cancellation necessitated the prioritization of
Yeah.
conclusion over
Mm-hmm.
a natural progression.
Mm-hmm.
So that being the case, I think that the way that they've handled it in spite of that, has been really good, really impressive, and I'm glad to see Lloyd he's in a good place character wise.
Yes. He's in a very good place.
So.
So the character I want to see grow up with the show now is Little Nelson. You hear that, writers?
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
So get some good progression from Little Nelson.
Okay.
So
Okay. So there's a lot more we can say. And honestly,
yeah.
this would be good for Ninjago Cast too to have this conversation, especially with Meso, who's been in the chat contributing.
Very vocal. We see you.
Mm-hmm. However, we're on a bit of a time crunch today, and we have 5 email questions, or at least 5 emails with a very I can talk. I swear I can speak English. There are
Hablas inglés? Bueno.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get into the email questions if you're down for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay. So starting off, we have an email from Lego David who asks 2 questions. 1, what do you think of the Lego Ninjago movie? Do you think it impacted the TV show, and in a positive or negative way?
The Lego Ninjago movie. The movie I was most hyped for in my entire life.
Sorry.
tears go down my face while I say that. But no, the Lego Ninjago movie, I think it's an honor to say that we have a movie that went into theaters. It is a good. I heard this from, I think Brent said this on his channel, Brent Miller. He said that it's a good parody of the show. It's got like the idea of it. It has the characters. It's got Lloyd and Garmadon, but it misses every single like it tries to be Ninjago, but it just misses on every single way. There definitely was bleedage from the Ninjago movie into the show, especially with the redesigns. But the redesigns, I still think are the best thing that's happened to Ninjago because the characters are just so individualized now. They're beautiful, and we wouldn't have gotten that if we hadn't have gotten the movie. But luckily, that I think is the only thing that has bled into, besides the Garmadon returning as the villain that they wanted to do because of connecting the movie to the series. But it was in their own canon. But yeah, I don't hate the movie. I'm disappointed in it. I'm disappointed in the people who made it, I think, is the best thing. Because I feel like they didn't know what they were doing when it comes to Ninjago.
As in, they kind of dropped the ball in familiarizing themselves with the source material, essentially, and adapting it in a way that would satisfy fans and audiences.
Yeah, it's like they skimmed the surface of what Ninjago is, and then they didn't know what how do I say this?
They covered all of the surface level basics without any of the depth that we've come to expect.
Mm-hmm. Like they were really close to the Lloyd Garmadon dynamic, with how Garmadon, he wanted to have Lloyd, like he wanted to be the dad to Lloyd, and he wanted to be the loving husband and everything, but he wanted to change, but he didn't. That was the movie. And the TV show, he wanted to, but he couldn't. Mm-hmm. That's the difference. And I think even in that one like word change where he didn't and he couldn't, that misses like the hit with Ninjago. Mm-hmm. Like if they had made in the movie that Lord Garmadon couldn't change, that he was forced to be this way, and there's nothing he could do to change him from being evil, then that could have added so much more depth to the movie, instead of saying, yeah, I was evil and I could change, but I didn't. I just didn't want to. That feels a little more lazy and off the point. So yeah, that's just one example. The other thing is the ninja. I mean, besides Lloyd, but I won't get into that. They just completely ruined all those poor characters. So those poor guys. Great voice actors, but people don't even remember who they are. So
I remember. I remember Michael Pena as Kai. I remember. Oh no, Justin Theroux as Lloyd, obviously. No. As Justin Theroux was Garmadon.
Garmadon, yeah.
James Franco was Lloyd.
Dave,
yeah, yeah. I give up. We're moving on to the next part of the question.
Do you think it was cool?
Do you think it impacted the show positively or negatively?
Well, the redesigns are a positive. The Garmadon being pulled in was a positive because Garmadon was a good villain to have. I think, but overall, it's a negative because the masses, when they hear the word Ninjago, when the masses do, if you just say the word Ninjago to like a random person on the street, they're going to say, if they know about it, oh, that's the worst Lego movie.
I don't know, actually. You might have a point there, but I also don't know. I haven't polled anyone for it, so
yeah, that might be a good poll worthy for the masses, not just like for Lego fans, because Lego fans know that Ninjago the series exists and that it's a good series. But if you go to like, say, movie people or people who are parents or whatnot, and you say Ninjago, if they don't know about the series, or even if they do know about the series, if they it's just the worst Lego movie, which is really sad. It had the
It had the most potential.
potential to be the best one, but it still has the best animation out of all the movies. I will still stand by that. But
That's
it's
not
a
unfair.
yeah,
That's all right.
yeah.
Okay.
So
The second
yeah.
part of his email is, how would your ideal Ninjago movie be?
Oh gosh, my ideal Ninjago movie. What a question. I think if anyone owns the making of the Ninjago movie book, whatever they had coming up in that book would have I would probably keep as the movie. They were so close. They had a time travel plot that they were going to do,
I
which I
remember.
completely where the ninja have to go back in time and prevent Garmadon from being bitten to become evil.
Hmm.
That I think would be a really good ideal movie because you get both the modern day, you know, Ninjago architecture and those sets, the modern day like mechs and everything. But you also go back to, you know, way back then with Wu and Garmadon, and you can get the more, aged sets where you have like the wooden mongoose or the Great Devourer or something. I love Meowthra. Meowthra was great. The fact that they put my two favorite things in the world together, a cat and Ninjago, in the same movie, that was like a blessing that I didn't know I needed. But a giant snake, like a giant real snake versus a Lego mongoose with the ninja also sounds like a fantastic idea. So, and then there was also a deleted scene that they had in the Ninjago movie where it was Lloyd talking to Garmadon. And that
Yeah,
scene alone was like incredibly better than the entire Ninjago movie.
I really did enjoy
So
that scene. That was
it was such a so good. It was so good. So that I think if they had kept that plot and they had kept that whole thing,
hmm
that would have been my ideal Ninjago movie. So I do think that Lloyd is the correct ninja to focus on in the movie because he's the easiest. He's he's blonde, so therefore it makes him the real protagonist. So it's
hmm
so yeah, they had the right idea going. They were so close, and then I don't know what happened.
fair enough.
More tears.
Hollywood happened. No.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Hollywood happened. So
All right. Next email question. It's from Tommy Anderson, who asks,
whoa, hi
"Hi,
Tommy. Hi.
I would like to hear Haley's take on why Wu and Garmadon have aged so radically since Garmadon was cast into the underworld."
Oh gosh. Oh boy, theory time. Let's see here. I remember thinking about this a while ago and why Wu and Garbon has aged. So Wu and Garmadon have been around for like a really, really long time. I think they've made that clear. The Tommy has made that clear, or they mentioned in the show at some point that they were really, really old, like really, 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 really old. But
Mm-hmm.
40 years ago, they looked like the age of the ninja's parents, and then all of a sudden they became like decrepit in like super, super short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I would say my theory would be is that Wu and Garmadon are sort of connected in the sense where when they were separated into two different realms, they lost that connection, like it was like severed. And so their mortality or something along that line kind of shattered a little bit. So they started to age faster because they weren't together. Like the first Pinjutsu master, I would imagine he was almost immortal because of his being.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so when he created basically kind of like two of them, one of them being creation, one of them being destruction, they were also the yin and yang of themselves, and they probably had the same qualities. Except if you break that yin and yang, then like things will be offset. I think aging was one of them. The
Interesting.
the other thing that they mentioned in the show is Mistake mentioned something about how she was a part of them aging or them not aging or them being alive still. And that don't know unless there's like a T for it. Because in Ninjago, if they don't have an answer for it, just make a T, because that's how they solve all their problems. The
Oh,
ninja are kids. Oh man, give them a T. You gotta go to a different realm. Oh darn, give them a T. This guy has to tell the truth. Oh darn, give him a T. Lloyd's about to die. Oh darn, give him a T.
I mean, in all
So
fairness, tea is freaking delicious.
it is good.
Okay.
It is so good. So
That's,
good.
if I mean, right now, I could go for some tea for two reasons. One, I'm really tired and I could use some black tea to wake me up. And two, it's I think National or International Coffee Day
Oh
today.
dang. Ew, no.
It's okay, National Coffee Day.
For you. I got one
So
more joke for you.
I am absolutely drinking a cup of tea and not a cup of coffee.
I love it. I love it.
So you think that they had kind of an integral, like a connection
Yeah.
that
Lou
kind of
and
kept
Garmin
them
have
in
a connection.
balance, kept them in check?
Mhm.
And
That's what I think. And so when they lost that connection, it just kind of they lost their own little balance, and so Wu aged and Garmadon aged at the same
drastically.
time. Drastically. So I think Lloyd should be fine. I don't know if he's gonna have the same thing where he gets to a certain age and he stops aging. I think all the elemental masters are kind of like that, where they age slower than other people.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's like an elemental quality or not, but I would imagine it's an elemental quality if you're like one of the chosen. And we don't even know what an elemental master would be. Like, they just exist. I guess that's just part of the lore. Even though Ninjago was created, some people have power, some people don't. So
Interesting. That's not something I'd ever taken any time to consider because I never. The timeline is a fascinating subject, and I never made the connection between them being young 40 years ago and then them looking in their late 70s, early 80s now.
Even beyond that, like, yeah, it's pretty crazy how fast they aged. And the fact that, well, I mean, sure, 40 years can make someone look like that, but the fact that Kai and Nia's parents barely changed is like the other thing. How they didn't age. Well, I
think it has been stated that aging for elemental masters is much slower.
Slower, yeah.
And honestly, I don't really have an issue with that because I think that it's a unique quality that elemental masters deserve to have. I like that aspect. So, but yeah, no, Wu and Garmadon do look much older.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a way to reforge that connection? The hypothetical connection?
If there was, then they probably would have found it already, because Garmadon did come back briefly as a good guy, and they I don't know. Probably not, because when something is shattered, you can't fix it. So they are going to probably, die of old age if they want to go on that route. They probably won't. But Garmadon's already, you can count the amount of times that Garmadon's died. On like
Also,
two hands, not just one. But
Hayley, what the heck? When something shatters, you can't fix it. Tell that to every Lego set ever.
I mean, there's scratch marks on it if you drop it, right? But
why do you hate good things?
well, if you drop a Lego set, something does shatter, and it's your will to build that set.
Okay, no, that is actually
it's your will. It's your will to rebuild it.
That's actually very true. That's why I really like Bionicle, because when something drops, you don't really have to rebuild it because they'll stick together.
If I drop Ninjago City, it's all over.
Okay, don't even say that. I'm really glad that I no longer live in California and own Ninjago City, because if I was still there, I used to live at a fault line.
Oh,
if I was still there, gosh dang, Ninjago City would be Ninjago destroyed.
Oh yeah, it would be like the bounty.
Yeah,
it'd be destroyed like every single time something bad happens. So.
Yeah, maybe that's why I never got any of the bounties. I was just worried it was gonna shatter.
You want to talk about good character progression?
The bounty hasn't had good character progression.
Oh yes, absolutely.
It's stagnated. Its character is live and die.
It has changed over his seasons. It has looked different.
Oh my
it has
gosh.
been destroyed.
It's physically changed, but has its character changed, Hayley?
Oh.
Huh? What struggles has the bounty gone through?
That's gonna have to be the next.
Yeah, every time the bounty gets destroyed, it's just Tuesday. Like, he's gonna sit in a dark alley with Zane, and Zane's gonna get destroyed again. The bounty's gonna say, "For you, this was a life-changing event that altered the course of your future. For me, it was Friday." Oh, no.
Oh my gosh. For me, it's just a Friday. Oh gosh. Oh yeah. Oh man.
Yeah,
that was funny.
All right,
But
cool.
yeah. Thank you, Tommy.
Yeah, Tommy did say, good one, Hayley. One of 3 valid explanations. Another is tea. Winky face. See, that's what the bounty needs to do. It needs to drink some tea. Then it'll stop getting destroyed. Mm-hmm. All right. Next question is from Professor Sir Lojon. Before we get that, Tommy has one more thing to add. Hayley will be Ninjago City's Bane in 2021. Thanks a lot, Hayley. Now for the next 2 years, I gotta keep my eye. Or sorry, year and a few more months. I need to keep my eye on Ninjago City.
Just keep making the big sets, the more and more you just add to it, so that if something bad happens, it's just more of your will being broken.
Great. Ethan S. also adds, Destiny's Bound T. I like that. Okay. Sir Lojon has a few questions. Okay. First of all, he says, "Hola, Mr. Johnson," which spelled with an O. Remember, S-E-N. Asks a few things. First of all, if you could switch the run times of any 2 LEGO themes, which would you switch? For example, Bionicle Generation 2 switching with Hero Factory. So G2 would run for 5 years and HF would run for like 1.5. Are there any themes you would switch?
Boy. Let's see here. How about Bionicle G1 and Ninjago? But
they're almost the exact same runtime.
I'm gonna say
you have virtually
get there already.
Hayley, what you're suggesting is killing Ninjago to let Bionicle continue in its place.
No,
you're not a good spokesperson right now. If that's your suggestion,
I would probably say, let's see here. I would probably give G2 the runtime of Chima.
Okay, give it a full 3 years.
Give it its full 3 years so that it can finish.
Okay.
Or it can it can bring its full arc out. It doesn't just end with pushing a guy back into yada yada and the Toa just going back into the stars and calling it, like their hands full of that.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But so just give G2 a little more. I would say give G2 like another. I just can't think of. I don't want to give it Ninjago's runtime because I don't want a Ninjago.
Yeah, no.
But I would give. I don't know. G2 just needs to be longer.
Yeah.
Because we still don't really know what killed it, except for maybe the movies, but we'll see.
All right, and then his other question. He has 3 questions in total, but one of them I can't really discuss right yet, because it's about potential leaks, so we can't really go over it. Also, if you could have any 2 LEGO themes crossover, which would they be?
Ninjago and Bionicle. Because I think Bionicle would be a really cool 16, one of the 16 realms, just because the Toa are elemental masters too. They're mechs to the ninja.
Yeah, they could robots to the ninja. They're not mechs.
Well, they're mechs to the ninja. Like when it comes to like size, like they're about the size of maybe Lloyd's Titan mech in the new sets that were
Well,
just
I mean set wise. I
set
mean
wise.
set
Like
wise,
that how
obviously,
they would.
but like a Toa is only about 7 feet tall, and a ninja would presumably be rough
Well,
human proportions.
yeah, but I mean,
You
I
mean
think
what,
they
Haley?
could kind of play around with it a little bit. They can make the Toa a little taller when it comes to the ninja. Because they are minifigure size. Like the whole way that Ninjago works, you could say they're human size, or you could just say all of Ninjago is minifigure size that just doesn't look like Lego. So I think it'd be really cool that they go to another realm where they meet, or something happens and they have to be with the Toa, super big robots to them who are also elemental masters, and the ninja can have their own mechs and whatnot. But I just think that Ninjago, the animation that Ninjago has, and what they can do with what they're doing right now, it would bring Bionicle justice to have a crossover. So
I,
it'd be kind of cool.
I don't know, because I feel like that honestly, it'd be too counterculture to have Bionicle and Ninjago crossover, I think. Because they're both large worlds with expansive lores and mythos.
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure how that blending would really work. I think it's fun in the sense that I can envision in my head, it's like, who would win in a battle? Tahu or Kai?
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. I'm thinking more like not like a super big crossover where like it's like they had to go to another realm and like it's just there. Or the giant robots would be really cool to see in Ninjago's animation. The real one that I would, that I've kind of been hiding back only because the characters of Nexo Knights aren't super cool, but I would love to see a ninja versus knight battle.
See,
So that sounds pretty awesome.
I
Where they
think
mistake each other as enemies.
let me see if he suggests this. So he suggests Alpha Team and Exoforce. And
Okay.
oh no. Oh no. Oh gosh. No, no. So firstly, so Mr. Anderson said, I wrote a Bionicle reboot pitch once, and I just
I'm sure
know
it was amazing.
Meso has, if he's not at the computer right now, he's going he wouldn't like it, he says. Oh gosh, we are gonna have to pick your brain about that sometime, because that
You would
sounds
like it. Oh, I know I would like it.
that sounds absolutely fascinating. But no,
But
here's a crossover I would suggest, because I think it
Okay.
would make the most sense. Ninjago and Exoforce.
Exoforce. I'm not very familiar with Exoforce.
So
I probably
Exoforce
wouldn't be.
takes place. Well, I'll have to tell you when you're older. No, okay. Ninja. I'll tell you when we have more time, because you
Okay.
have to go soon, right?
Yeah, I've got unless you need to go soon, but
I kind of do, but I'm worried more about your time.
no, it's fine.
Okay.
We're cool.
All right, fair enough. Exoforce takes place on a mountain. There's a Sentai mountain. The humans are living in peace and harmony, and then they make robots which rebel, and then the mountain gets split in half, and half of the mountain is entirely the robots, half of it is the humans. The humans are trying to retake the entire thing, and the robots are trying to just conquer everything. And and they battle in mechs, in just huge mechs.
Okay.
And I just think that the characters and I don't know about, I don't want to say theme. I'm leaning closer toward atmosphere.
Okay.
The tonality, the feeling of the themes are close enough to where I feel they would cross over reasonably well.
Okay.
And I think that'd be an interesting crossover in whatever shape that takes place in.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just me.
Yeah.
So.
I believe you.
Okay.
So.
I got a few questions from Flaming Ninja, who asks, first, LJ, with Bionicle projects being officially allowed in LEGO Ideas, do you think Bionicle could become a somewhat viable IP again through the community posting projects on Ideas? This is related to last week's show. I really have no preference. I'm just curious to hear your thoughts. I don't know about a viable IP. Bionicle is a viable IP that never really went away, I don't think. I just don't necessarily think that... I don't think the viability of the IP is what is in question. It's whether or not it would be handled well enough to succeed. Because I don't think the handling last time was very well done. And I think if it were handled... I have said in the past, if Bionicle is to succeed in the present, it needs to be handled like Ninjago. Ninjago is currently your de facto successful story-driven theme. That is what you need to be looking to in reference to what will make a theme succeed. The first Bionicle run was a fluke. I've said this before too. It was entirely haphazard. It was a lightning in a bottle. But Ninjago has found the formula. I don't know the specifics and details of the formula, but it has done it. It's succeeded. It's got something really, really good. So if you want a Bionicle to be successful now, look to that. Question 2. What are your thoughts on the 11-episode format for Season 11? 11-minute, I will presume. 11-minute episode format for Season 11, for example, though I believe it does offer certain advantages in terms of multiple character arcs. Season 11 seems to have certain problems in terms of pacing, especially in terms of the amount of filler, both good and bad.
The 11-minute format, it definitely has its pros and cons, very, very specific pros and cons. The pros being that they can do more that we've never seen them do before with really creative episodes that highlight other things happening in Ninjago. For instance, before the season, Jay had been in every single episode of Ninjago, and that doesn't exist anymore. Which is pretty awesome.
So that's why this is the worst season. No, I'm kidding.
Oh wow! But I'm very happy with what they can do now, with this 11-minute format. The con to that is if they want to introduce like a miniature arc for a character, 10 minutes for them to have a full arc is a little short because there's a lot going on in Ninjago and in these episodes. They have a lot of story to cover, and if they do a story episode with a arc going on in like a certain character, it feels very rushed, and that's something that I think the writers have to get used to. I can see them trying, but there are a couple instances where it just doesn't fit. But overall, if we can get 11-minute episodes, but 30 of them per season, I am 100% on board, because that's the most Ninjago content for a season we've ever gotten. I like it. I approve. I'm excited to see what else they can do.
Yeah. Yeah. I honestly, I love the 11-minute format. I think that some of these episodes have been really, really good for Ninjago. I'm really happy with it. Some of the pacing issues can be a little bit problematic, and the filler has been, it's filler only in the sense that it is an episode that doesn't directly impact the progression of the plot. However, that doesn't mean that it's bad. There are very few of these episodes that I've considered not really great, but most of them have been just...
And what I love hitters. With what we call quote-unquote filler episodes is that they still progress the plot.
Well, they either progress the plot or they inform.
Or they inform what's going on. They keep going. It's not like you can completely skip that episode.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant, honestly.
I think that they help inform the world. And kind of expand on it and grow it. And I think they're the kind of episodes that people will look back on and be like, yeah, no, that was a good episode because it told us this. It gave us this example of this. I feel the one that you can absolutely entirely skip out on is probably the episode with the villains breaking out of the prison.
Yeah. Like I said, the only reason why if Fuji Dove, if he returns,
then you might want to watch
without
it.
any explanation, then even that's probably the only thing I can think of. But with like episodes with Little Nelson coming back or the news, like those, there is absolutely no reason why those episodes should exist with Ninjago, but they might be the most beloved of this entire season so far, because I've always wanted Little Nelson to return ever since that 2-minute clip from Skybound, and they did it. Those crazy people, they did it. They brought him back, and so
Mm-hmm.
it's nice that they can do this.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. I definitely think that whatever pacing issues there might be, I think that they are inevitable in this format, but they also aren't as... I don't find them as detrimental as I think a lot of other people do. I don't find them to be as much of an... Like, they don't inhibit my enjoyment of the episodes.
Yeah.
And that's what really matters.
It could be worse. It could be so much worse.
Yeah.
But
I think a lot of the... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, they do a remarkable job for just switching from switching from 22 to 11 after 10 seasons. They're doing an incredible job.
Yeah.
So kudos to that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I agree. I think that there are definitely issues there in the pacing, but all things considered, I think that it's been really enjoyable.
Yeah, to be expected. I think that was our biggest fear going in, and
Yeah.
it happened, but we knew it was coming. So
Yeah. So next question is, what is your favorite character arc from a specific Ninjago season?
Oh gosh, favorite character arc from a specific season. It's gonna be Jay from Skybound.
Yeah. Yeah. Same.
Yeah, because it's just powerful. You know, he did all of that for Nia, and we've never seen Jay do anything like that before. And it, like, him going up against an entire like fleet of, you know, characterized pirates, like it's crazy. And he got a team together, and he won against all odds, and he did it. And then when he didn't do it, he did and didn't do it.
Make up your mind.
He saved the day, but he won the battle in a beautiful way, not an epic way. Like, he defeated Nauticon, but he lost Nia. But he saved the day because of emotion rather than his skills. So it was such a... Oh man, I love Skybound so much.
Yeah,
so
no, I agree. Skybound, I just really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I don't think it would have worked for any other character in that show, because it showcases so much of Jay's ingenuity.
Mm-hmm.
So, also, Tommy says, looking forward to everyone's reaction to Kaiju Protocol. Way out there, brace for impact. I take full responsibility. You have promised me some sock puppets.
Oh no!
I need those.
No, the sock puppets, the kaiju. Oh man, but oh man, I'm excited. I saw that and I was like, oh, Kaiju Protocol. I can almost just picture like Pixel activating the Kaiju Protocol and Master Wu just looking over at her like, we have a Kaiju Protocol. So I'm very excited for that episode. I can't talk about that. Never mind.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome. Man, I think Skybound is really great. Okay, next question is, what are your favorite 2019 Ninjago sets?
2019 Ninjago sets. So that's this year. This year. Well, I have the Titan mech from this most current wave.
Mm-hmm.
The green and white one that Lloyd has, because I saw it in the show and it was epic, so I got it. Well, Mir got it for me. Thank you, Mir.
Oh, that's nice of him.
It's very nice of him. We built it in a Steak and Shake. It's pretty great.
Oh,
cool. But yeah, I really like that one. What else? I really like... Oh gosh, what came out? What was the wave in January?
That was... Wasn't that Legacy?
Was that Legacy?
I'm not 100% sure. Let me check. I'm on Bricklink right now.
Okay.
Or Brick Set. 2019?
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be...
Legacy?
Okay.
Well,
it's the Ultra Dragon released.
Oh, yeah, that's Legacy. So yeah, the Monastery of Spinjitzu was released also earlier this year.
Was that really this year?
That was this year.
Oh my
Dude,
gosh, you're right.
Captain Marvel came out this year. That was this year. It's
Oh
crazy.
gosh.
It's been a long year. Like Brick Fair happened like a month and a half ago. It's gosh, but yeah, that was this year. But but yeah, the Monastery of Spinjitzu, I built that one with Tyler. That one is an amazing set. I like the snake one. I don't have that one, but
The fire
fire
snake.
fang, the fire snake,
I
fire fang.
actually,
That.
I actually do. It was as a gift. It was
Oh,
given to me as a
nice.
gift, and I've yet to build it because I've been
Oh boy.
busy.
Oh my gosh.
So,
But that one looks really cool. I love to see the Great Devourer redone in Lego, in that kind of that style. But
mhm.
but yeah, I love the idea of legacy sets. I think that's really smart because it not only is it like it's an easy way, it's also celebrating. Hey, Ninjago's been around for like 9 years. It has a legacy, like a really big legacy. So it's nice. I really enjoy that. So,
Okay.
so yeah.
Okay. So few things. First of all, unfortunately, everyone, I won't be able to get to all of your questions today. We're on a little bit of a time crunch. I do apologize. We will have Hayley back again, so that way, if you have any more questions, save them. I'll do my best. So we're gonna have to speed through this because we
Okay.
have 3 questions from
Lightning round.
some guy called TTV Messinac.
Oh boy, who's that guy?
I don't know. He's been in the chat heckling. No, I'm kidding. The other thing is, Tommy said Tooth Dominoes will do the sock puppets. That is such a neat thing to do. I am so
Oh,
freaking
please.
excited because
Yes.
he's
Please.
awesome, and I know he's gonna knock it out of the park. That's gonna be amazing. Okay, so Masso asks 3 questions. 1, I know how much you love Ninjago, but it can't all be sunshine and rainbows. What's something from or directly related to the Ninjago TV show that caused you to either be angry, disappointed, or upset, and the movie doesn't count?
Love triangle.
You kind of just
100.
handed that to her on a silver platter.
Yeah, love triangle. That angered me, and I actually like Cole was my favorite character, and I literally like I had to like this is like way back when I was like a teenager. Like I was like Cole, you can't be my favorite character anymore. Like you can't be my favorite character because you disrespect Jay and Nia's relationship, and so yeah, he became my favorite character again after he did that thing uh in tournament of elements. But yeah, that see we don't talk about that
Yeah.
that was a mistake. That will anger me. What else? I think just everyone sort of hating on the mega weapon stuff that happened, like all the little goofy mega weapon episodes. Everyone was saying that's like some of the worst Ninjago, but that's also the part of Ninjago that got me into the show. So
Mhm.
it's like a little respect. They can have a little fun if they want to, like that's what they're kind of doing now. Except those are more like filler, a little more filler. But yeah, I think those are the 2 biggest ones that just kind of like boil my blood a little bit.
Okay.
So
All right. If you are given the freedom and ability to create a single future wave / season of Ninjago, what concept would you choose? What would the story and sets be like? Gosh, this is such a heavy question. Mess why?
oh gosh, because I've done fan fiction before for Ninjago, where I kind of do similar, yeah, where I've done like close to canon stuff. Like I did one with Evil Zane, but I did one with Cole that I really enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
But
Oh,
what would I do?
real quick, don't misconstrue me, or don't misunderstand. My snicker was not at the concept of doing Ninjago fan fiction. I have
Oh,
nothing
I see what you mean.
nothing
I see what you
poor
mean.
to say
Okay.
about anyone that wants to write
Yes.
fan fiction for any property.
Mm-hmm.
Don't take that as discouragement. Go
Yeah, so
forth
that'd be
and
my goal there.
create. I was just
But
thinking thinking back at something else. Continue.
yeah, no. But oh boy, what would I do? Well, number one, it would be a Cole season,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to do something that because another big mystery that the show has is Jay's mom and Cole's mom. Well, not even just Jay's mom, Jay's parents. Like we kind of got a hint on it on Skybound, but we don't even have anything on what happened to his mom, what happened to Cole's mom. We know it's Cole's mom is quote unquote dead, but we don't really know anything about that. Um, but the other thing besides that is that the ninja have yet to really face a foe that is like I don't want to say army. That's like a villain group that matches the ninja in their skills. So I know in Bionicle they had the shadowed one had what were they called? The the
Makuta?
no the evil group like the evil I don't want to call them assassins because they weren't assassins, but the shadowed one was like the leader of them.
Oh, the Dark Hunters. Got it.
The Dark Hunters, yeah. Like the Ninjago has like their own evil organization that kind of is behind the scenes with their kind of like the I already forgot the name of the group.
Dark
The Dark
Hunters.
Hunters. There it is,
Got
Dark
it.
Hunters. So yeah, something like that where the ninja have to face it's sort of like the Sons of Garmadon, only if they weren't bikers, but they were all like trained ninja.
They were their equals, and they had
Yeah,
to
they're
best
the
them.
equals. So
Oh,
and
okay.
if something happens like that, like you can draw ties to maybe Ronan, to Hutchins, you can draw ties to Klaus, stuff like that. Where you can have them kind of be there, and they were kind of working in the background. But something like that, where it's not just an army of snakes or robots or what else is Ninjago done? Ghosts. It's a it's an actual terrifying force. It's basically ninja versus ninja. And we have to really see the ninja use their skills, and then somehow tie in other loose ends with Cole and his mom and Jay and his mom and stuff like that. So I have a full idea that I kind of flushed out. I'm just kind of going on top of it. The force that I called instead of the Dark Hunters, I call them the Void.
Oh.
So yeah, that's kind of the direction I would go. So.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Not bad. Okay. Last email question. Because nothing lasts forever, what would be your ideal ending for Ninjago?
The ideal ending for Ninjago.
Killing me, Messa.
These are heavy questions. Ideal ending is the ninja training their next generation, whether it's their kids or it's a group of talented individuals. I feel like I just quoted the Avengers for some reason. But basically the ninja like passing down the ranks to the ninja and having these new ninja go out to face their first enemy. And that would just be the end to Ninjago. If they want to do a spin-off series, so be it. But the end of our 6 ninja would be the perfect way to send them off, is them happily giving up their role as the ninja and accepting their role as the master, as what we saw in the ice reflection back in season 5. So I just want them all to be happy when the show ends. I don't want the show to just abruptly end and they're just like doing something. And so so yeah, when Ninjago ends, I want the ninja to kind of know that it's ending too. So
they're gonna look to the screen at the end and be like, "This is our last episode of the show. Thanks for watching."
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment and subscribe.
No, it's a show, not a YouTube series. Don't forget to comment, rate.
It would get demonetized if it was.
Sorry, everyone. YouTube decided that our show was kids content, and now we're demonetized.
Yeah, have a ninja throw in a curse word so they won't be demonetized.
Okay, get out of here.
So yeah, that's how a happy ending where the ninja are aware that their arc as ninja are done and they're moving on to either their kids or little Nelson. Cough, cough. So.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
In all fairness, there were a lot of email questions there that were really excellent, so thank you to everyone who sent one in.
Yes, thank you.
We will do one question from the chat. It's from the Dark Master, who asks, aside from Harumi, who's your favorite female Ninjago villain, and both of you people's thoughts and opinions on the Overlord?
Aside from Harumi, what is your favorite female Ninjago villain?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, how many are there? There's like
Well, there's a Sphera now. There's a
there's
Sphera.
Asphira, there's
There's
Ultraviolet, there's
Ultraviolet.
Banshee.
Banshee?
Banshee is the female ghost who likes to
Oh.
scream.
Oh. Like a banshee,
Um,
I get it.
yeah. Aside from Harumi, like that's already man. I like Ultraviolet. She's really cool. She's very quirky and fun, and I don't know why she has a poster of Cole's dad in her room, but that's a thing. But yeah, I like her. Probably more than I do Asphira,
A
mm,
Sphera.
Ashfira, As,
Oh, Dogshank.
Asphira.
Dogshank. Sakota
Oh yeah,
mentioned.
Dogshank. Oh yes, Dogshank.
Which
Forget it. I like Dogshank. Dogshank's cool. I like Dogshank. There you go.
General Machia? I forget.
Oh, General Machia. Man, thank you, man, chat. You're doing great. General Machia is the red uh what were they
The
called?
red I don't know a faction known as
Vermilion. The
Oh,
red
the
Vermilion.
Vermilion.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Hands of Time.
Oh.
Remember that season?
So I really like Asphera. Asphera is really cool. But you know what? I'm gonna break the rules and consider Harumi my favorite female villain because
What?
she
Okay,
meets
they
all the
specifically
qualifications.
said in the question.
And I
you're
said
not
I'm
Harumi.
specifically
You're just
breaking the
gonna-
rules.
But then you're not really answering the question.
Oh, Tommy, the preeminent Tommy mentioned.
Preeminent, yes. A preeminent
Preeminent.
was a she. Yeah.
I'm gonna stick right now with Asphera because she exceeded my expectations. My expectations was she was gonna be a one-note villain who only went around going revenge, revenge.
Revenge.
But no, she was a lot better than that. And honestly, it caught me off guard, and I'm awfully impressed. So,
Yeah. So I like Dogshank because she was more than just a goon. She treated Nia like an equal when they fought, and but she was also really fun, and she became good at the end. So
yeah,
I like Dogshank for that. So
yeah.
we don't fight like what was her line where she's like
I don't. I know what line
yeah.
you're talking
Yeah,
about, but it
yeah.
is escaping my
But-
mind.
mm-hmm. So I like her.
Okay. Well,
Can we
in
count
that
Misako
case,
as a villain?
huh?
Can we count Misako as a villain because she abandoned Lloyd?
Oh
Wouldn't be
no!
my favorite, but can we count her as one?
But is she a villain though, or is she the greatest hero because she
The what?
she helped bring Lloyd into the world? Did she not?
Yeah, yes, she did. She saw good in Garmadon and brought Lloyd into the world, only to like drop him off at a bad kid school. Even
Okay,
though
I
she
forgot
knew
about that
she was
part.
gonna be. Yeah,
See,
totally
it's-
abandoned him in a bad kid school, even though she knew that. It's like, I knew you were going to be the Green Ninja, but I left you at a bad kid's orphanage.
Okay, yeah. So it's one thing to say, well, I abandoned my son, and it's another to go, I specifically left him at an orphanage for evil children.
Yep. Oh, Misako.
no.
Oh, Misako. I love it.
Uh,
So,
Also, real quick, yes, I do remember LJ Khan. Hopefully one day.
yes, LJ Khan.
Okay, that's gonna be it. Time crunch time. I gotta get going. I'm sure you gotta get going.
Yes,
But Hayley, thanks for taking the time today. This has been a
Of course.
blast.
Thank you for bringing me on again. I look forward to
course.
next time.
You will have a next time because we only scratched the surface. Ninjago has been treated very well for a LEGO theme.
Yes.
It has an expansive mythos. It has an ensemble cast, and it does have a substantial amount of depth, especially when you compare it to things like Exoforce, Nexo Knights, Chima, and so on. So there's a lot of discussion
Absolutely.
value to be had.
It's like I don't even know if Ninjago has hit its peak yet, and we're almost 9 years in.
That's
so
the thing. I don't know.
It feels like we've hit the peak, and then we go over the peak, and there's another peak that we come across, and we're like, wow, gotta keep climbing because this is good.
Yeah.
So yeah, who knows?
So
Almost there. Almost to 10 years. So
And I will celebrate it. I will not look at it as a
yes.
defeat of Bionicle and its record,
Oh
because
no,
that's not the
absolutely not a
point.
defeat.
The
It may
point
join the club with
the
Bionicle, showing
point
that they were
is
both
that it did
wonderfully
well.
beloved. Yes.
A successful Lego theme is never a bad thing.
Oh, never. It's always fun to see this stuff go beyond the expectation. So,
Yeah. So,
see.
okay. Hayley, is there anywhere on social media you'd like people to follow you at?
You can find me on TTV, of course, for videos for Ninjago Cast, which we've been up doing pretty recently. So checking on that. But you can find me mostly on Twitter at I think, oh gosh, I don't even know. Is it at private.call?
It's at
Long story.
private.call.
Yeah, at private.call or I the Wolf. You can find me there. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Okay.
So,
Fantastic. Well, links to those will be in the description below. Hayley, once again, thank you so much.
thank you, man.
And thank you to everyone who tuned in and sent in questions.
Yes. Thank you as well. Thank you. Fun questions. I loved all of them. They were such great questions. Y'all did great.
I wish we had more time for more.
Oh, I do too.
I'm sorry, everyone.
I got to call in sick to work. So.
No, wait,
sorry,
what?
I've got to answer Ninjago questions.
Oh, okay. It's my day off, so. Thank goodness. Okay, that's going to do it. So once again, thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully you had a good time. Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. And hopefully you will join us again next time for another episode of the show. This has been The Eljay Johnsen Show. The show airs every single weekend, every Sunday at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, unless specified otherwise, over on Twitter at The Eljay Johnsen, where you can find updates and guest announcements every single Wednesday. And if you have any questions over the week, make sure you send them to my email at eljayjohnsen@gmail.com. Remember, that's JOHNSEN. So once again, thank you all so very much for watching. We'll see you all next time.